Hey, it is Zennial Gamer back with another Infinity Kingdom video. So guys, this is still one of my favorite games, a game I am playing every day, and although today's video is sponsored, I'm just being honest when I tell you this is now the first game I log into each morning. I'm excited to collect my resources, I'm excited to send out my troops, I'm just excited to play. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how to start implementing strategy. So you guys know in every game you play, every kind of MMO, RPG, fantasy style game, when you first get into the game, there's this period where it's all about just resource gathering and leveling and grinding up and getting all the free stuff the game gives you, which is what makes it a lot of fun. I mean, IK really gives you a lot of free stuff. But then you hit that point where you're like, whoa, I need to start thinking. Because I'm losing. I'm not able to just flex OP anymore. I'm reaching that point where the game gets challenging. So guys, I'm in the well of time right now. You can see that I barely made it through the first couple of waves. I am probably gonna get wrecked right here as I try and siege the castle. I'm reaching that point now where I need to start putting more thought into how I put my formations together, into how I use my Immortals, into what skills I give my Immortals, and ultimately, if I'm going to continue to progress at the same speed, I need to use strategy. So guys, here we are in the Tower of Knowledge, and you can see a whole bunch of icons on the screen that if you don't play yet, mean nothing right now. By the way guys, if you don't play yet, try the game out. All the information's in the video description, and you can see above me kind of somewhere in that direction up there. If you use the keyword Zennial as a coupon code, you'll actually get 3 free Philosopher's Stones, which is 3 free summons. It's a great way to start the game. Anyway guys, if you don't play the game yet, or if you haven't gotten to this point in the game yet, the Tower of Knowledge is where you can actually acquire and then level up skills for your Immortals. So if we take a look here at Merlin, who's actually my second strongest overall Immortal and one of my most elite, if not my most elite, damage dealers. Now in the case of Merlin, you can see that I've got 2 skills down here at the bottom. Now this first skill is one that is specific to Merlin, so every Immortal has one skill that is specific to them. That's the skill they come with before you begin to develop them at all. In the case of Merlin, he deals magical damage at a rate of over 410% to all enemies. AoE damage, which is pretty OP. And then you can see here also, if the target has been chilled, the damage is increased by 50%. So that is because Merlin is a water immortal. Now, he's going to lead my bowman, which means he's in the back line, and he is a magic type, obviously. So when we're looking for his skills, what we're looking for is something that's going to increase this OP AoE magic damage that he has. Now, currently, I have the ability to give him a second skill. As I'm able to further develop him, as I get more Immortal fragments, I will eventually get access to a third and then to a fourth skill, and I can assign more skills to him. The skills that I can assign, those are going to be coming from the Tower of Knowledge, and the amount of skills that you can unlock are also based on your castle. So you can see I've got 3 new skills that I can unlock right now because my castle just got to level 22. These skills, by the way, they're unlocked with soul crystals, which you get from both sailing and then also from disassembling Immortal fragments from your summons. So you do want to be careful. You want to conserve these soul crystals so that you can use them in order to improve your skills, because the skills are going to be a huge part of how we move through that early stage of the game when everything is super easy to the middle stage of the game when we have to actually start thinking and using some strategy in order to progress. So what we want to do for right now is figure out, is the skill that I have on Merlin right now still the best one? So in this case, if we look, you can see I'm using the Wisdom skill. It is an uncommon skill, which is the lowest level skill. So we can figure that there's probably going to be better skills. Again, if we come back over here, you can see uncommon is the lowest, followed by rare, followed by elite. And then as we scroll up further, you'll see eventually like at castle level 31, we get access to our first epic skills. But for the time being, the only elite skill that we have access to is this combo one, and this right here, it says extra physical damage. So we already know that doesn't fit for our Merlin. Now, what we're using right now, this is going to be an additional 36% of magic attack, which is really good. I mean, we're talking about a mage who does AoE magic damage. This is actually a really good fit, but is there something that maybe could be a little bit better? Now, really cool thing, by the way, down here, if you see at the bottom, this says recommended Immortals. I want to point out though, this is only recommended for Immortals who are deployed, so it's not talking about the Immortals you're not using. It's actually recommending it for the Immortals who are in one of your deployments, which is really good. Now you can see that penance would work for Merlin. This is Merlin right here. However, we know that there's going to be something better. Just because it works for him doesn't mean it's the best. So let's take a look at what else we've got down here. This one right now, Stray Arrow, this is going to be physical damage. This is going to be a support skill that provides some HP recovery. This is going to be another HP restoration. This is going to be another physical damage. So again, all of these skills, we know that these are not necessarily the best fit for Merlin. Now keep in mind, best fit and useful, very different things. All of these skills, or several of these skills, could still be useful for Merlin depending on the overall formation of our deployment, depending on which Immortals we're using, what kind of troops we're using. Any one of these could make sense. But for right now, we're early enough in the game. We want a YOLO. We want the damage. And so what we're looking for is what's going to give us the most damage. And as we go through the rest of them, you'll see none of the rare skills was actually the best fit for Merlin. So guys, keep that in mind. Just because a skill may be rare or elite, it does not mean that it's the best skill specifically that you have right now. So if we come back over here to Wisdom, we can see 36% magical attack. I mean, that just fits. I've already got a guy doing massive AoE damage. That just fits. Give myself a pat on the back. I did that one right. Okay, now let's take a look at Yoshitune. By the way, real quick, I do these videos with the audio off, but I just want you guys to hear some of the voice acting in this game. It's just insane. So we're gonna click off and we're gonna come back for just a moment. One of the things I really enjoy about this game, just seriously guys, like straight up, one of the things I really enjoy about this game is the dialogue. First of all, the dialogue's available in multiple languages, so each Immortal speaks their own native language, but you can actually go into the configuration settings and change like some of the storyline dialogue into multiple languages as well, which is really cool. The sound effects in this game are just pleasing. So like seriously, like once again, I'm gonna turn the sound on for just a moment. Listen to like what happens when we gather our farming or our logging. It's just pleasing. They did such a great job with the sound effects. And I know a lot of people don't play with sound on. I do. Been very impressed by the sound effects, impressed by the dialogue that you get from each Immortal, the animations, and so on. Anyway, as we come back here, so we're going to take a look at Yoshitsune. I'm sure I butchered the name, but Yoshitsune, something like that. So this is a water Immortal. He once again leads bowmen, so he's going to be my other backline Immortal. Now, he is water, just like Merlin. And a couple of things real quick we haven't talked about yet, guys, are elements. So there are actually 7 different elements in the game. Now I talked about, in last video, I talked about having summoned Gilgamesh, the most OP of the holy elements. I've put on screen a chart right now to show you how all of the elements interact. So guys, for those of you who have played this style of game before, you should understand the basic concept. But basically, light has an advantage over shadow. Shadow has an advantage over everything. So that's a little bit different. Shadow's really kind of OP in its own right, other than the fact that it's countered by light, because shadow does not have an advantage over light. Shadow has an advantage over everything else except light. And then we have water has an advantage over fire, which has the advantage over wind, which is over lightning, which is over earth, which comes back in a circle around over water. So each element has an advantage over each other element. We got the screen up, the chart up on screen for you guys right here. So as we're talking about the different advantages, when we're doing our troop formations, we want to think about what element of enemy we're facing. You can see I have 2 wind units up at the top right now. That's going to be my dragon, and that's going to be the Zenobia right here. Now Zenobia is one of my most powerful Immortals. But what if I wanted to try to make this a more balanced elemental comp? So for example, I could switch over to the water dragon. Now my water dragon is not as powerful as my wind dragon. The wind dragon is further leveled up. The wind dragon also has better skills. I've leveled the skills a little bit more. But if I bring in my water dragon, and then, for example, maybe I bring in some water Immortals, like this Yoshitune right here, the one we're talking about. Did you guys see that little animation right up here at the top? So what happens is when you have 3 units of the same element, you get buffs. And when you have 4 units of the same element, you get more buffs. And when you have 5 units, you get an entire buff to all of your troops. So you want to strike a balance. There's two factors going on here. The first one is you want to get access to those buffs. You also want to use strong enough Immortals. Now, ideally, you'll have been leveling all of your Immortals roughly equally. You'll be giving them equal gear. But there's also some variance in, is it just like a really strong Immortal that you got lucky to summon? Or did you summon a lot of fragments for that Immortal and you were able to develop it further? So in this case, the Yoshitsune and the Merlin, they're both really well developed for me. My dragon, I have not gotten as lucky with getting the water dragon eggs that I need in order to develop the Glindweir's skills, and that's why he's actually lower level. With that said, so now we've got a 3-troop bonus. What about our front line? Can we get any water? And we can come down here. By the way, if you guys didn't catch that, on this pillar right here, if I click on this, there's a whole filter right down here. Would I bring 5 water units into an earth enemy? Absolutely not. It wouldn't make any sense to do that because the opponent has the advantage over me. But if the enemy is all fire, then this water troop right here is gonna be OP. Whereas like in my old formation, I had some earth, I had some lightning, I didn't get any of the attribute advantage, I didn't get any of the element bonus, so I had a higher power number, sure, but I didn't actually have as good of an army. But now what I want to do is to come back here and take a look at the Yoshitsune skills because I want to make sure that I am using a skill that synergizes well. So we know that Merlin and Herald are going to synergize together really well because Herald gives me that decreased defense and then the Merlin's just going to bomb on those guys. Well, first and foremost, we need to understand what he actually does. So if you look, again, this is a water immortal. He leads your bowman. He is ranged. His primary epic skill, he shoots 3 arrows in a row with each arrow inflicting physical damage. So that's a big key. We know he's doing physical damage to a random enemy unit. So there's 2 ways we can go with him. Because he's a backline immortal and because he's got really good stats, he can actually be a secondary damage dealer, or we can use him to support Merlin. Now, the way we would use him to support Merlin is by comboing a couple of skills, and this is something I can't do yet. Once my castle level gets higher and I have that 3rd skill unlocked, there are 2 skills together that work amazingly in support of Merlin, since I know Merlin's going to be my primary damage dealer. And those 2 skills are assist and absolute defense. So the assist skill will actually allow Yoshi to take all of the damage that Merlin would normally take, and absolute defense would then allow him to further reduce that damage, so we're further protecting our Merlin. But again, I don't have access to those skills yet, and in the meantime, I kind of like the idea of just having my whole team YOLO and bomb, right? So again, Yoshi is a backline immortal, but he is a big physical damage dealer. So we're gonna look at how we can boost his physical damage. Now I wanna come back to these new skills right here. So we see the new skills that I have access to. Root is gonna be a 13.5% chance for magical damage. That's not gonna synergize well. So if we were to go through all of our skills, we stumble across right here the one and only elite skill I have access to yet so far, which, hey, look at that. It's recommended for Yoshi, and it says every normal attack has a 30% chance of causing up to 150% of extra damage. That's exactly what we're looking for right here. So we're gonna equip the skill right now, which means we're just gonna go over to Yoshi. We're gonna go ahead and switch. We're gonna change the skill onto Yoshi. You see we have a big jump in power right there as well. And now we're gonna go see if our new theory crafted team will allow us to go further in the Well of Time. All right, guys, so here we go with the big finale. Now, we made a couple of tweaks to our formation. The biggest thing is we brought our Wind Dragon back. So we have come back in with a 3-water immortal formation, taking advantage of the Wind Dragon and then bringing 1 additional Earth Elemental into our front line to just help us a little bit with tanking those other elements. Now, you guys can see we're doing much better this time. We're sitting here with a huge lead. By the way, right up here at the top, guys, in case you didn't see it, this is my HP. This is the enemy HP. In the last fight where I barely squeezed through with 15% HP, now we're moving into the siege with 54% HP. This is going to be a much easier siege, guys. Obviously, last time I straight up lost. This time, we're going to finish with that victory sign. Nothing better to see in any game, right? All right, guys, on that note, one final reminder. if you want to get some free summons, 3 free Philosopher's Stones, all you've got to do is come out here, click on your character profile icon at the top, go to settings, go to redeem, and type in that keyword Xennial. You get 3 free Philosopher's Stones, 3 free summons. As always, guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. More important, I hope you try and enjoy the game, because I really am. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in my alliance, and we'll see you next time.